Live and direct. It's Sway in the morning.
Right here on Shade 45.
LaToya, I just want to welcome you to our show. You know,
Thank you.
I'm sure you get this all the time, but we all grew up with your family in our households, and we all pretended like we was one of the members of your family. I used to like, I always liked the sisters.
Oh,
yeah. So
you better.
Yeah. I know, right? I always liked the sisters and the music that you guys made early on in your lives. Heart Don't Lie. That was one of my biggest.
Oh, thank you.
Favorite songs.
Oh, how sweet. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. Congratulations. Now, LaToya is here because you have a new show that's airing on the OWN network, right?
Yes, Life with LaToya.
What is life with LaToya like today in 2014?
Well, Life with LaToya is really a lot of fun right now.
Yeah.
Today, yes, because well, I don't know if you got the information, but I got engaged.
Yes.
And all of this takes place on the show, which is really, really wonderful. That's all captured. And yes, my ring, ladies.
Yeah, that's an incredible ring.
Yes.
Now your husband, let me hold it.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I don't even need a close-up.
Her fiance is here, Jeffrey
LaToya,
Phillips.
I read it was 17 carats.
It's 17.5.
Excuse
Heather.
me. Sorry.
Jeff, can I ask Jeffrey? Jeff, come here, man.
Jeffrey's here.
Yeah, this is man, and he's a black man. Go
Jeffrey.
You bought that ring?
Yes, I did.
What do you do for a living, man?
I own a bunch of companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you from? What am I hearing there?
From Buffalo. I've been in LA for 26 years.
Yeah?
It's heavy, isn't it?
Wow. Now, how did y'all meet? Like, how do you approach somebody as famous as LaToya Jackson? Like, what did you say? A lot of dudes in the room trying to figure that out.
Well, I didn't approach her. We've been business partners for 15 years.
Okay.
So I've been with her every day for 15 years.
Yeah.
So I knew everything she wanted in a man. So after 15 years, I learned it and I proposed to her and she said yes.
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
Congratulations. Just like that, huh?
Just like that.
Wow.
Look
man.
at Heather.
I'm sorry.
Heather got the ring on her
I
finger.
didn't put it on my ring finger, right, LaToya? I was respectful. I put it on my pinky
You know
ring.
what? I'm not superstitious like that. It doesn't really matter to me.
Look how heavy it is.
Yeah,
Sway.
it's-
Oh my gosh.
She goes, look how
I can't
heavy
get
it is,
I
Sway.
can't get it on that finger.
Yeah, put it on your
Let me
pinky.
get it on my finger. Look at
Little
that.
rapper.
Hey, Jeffrey, you don't mind me putting this ring on, do you, man?
She's just passing it around.
Passing that house
What
around.
is it? Is that a 6-figure ring? Do you got to get insurance on that? Or?
It
Yes,
has
of
insurance.
course, of course.
It does? Okay.
And I'm
Well,
retaining.
that's awesome, man. Well, she's royalty. You had to do at least 17.5 to lock that in.
Yeah.
I want to Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, the Oprah Winfrey Network.
Yes. Did you sit down with Oprah? Did Oprah sit down with? How did y'all come up with this concept?
Well, I've been asked to do reality shows forever, for the beginning. Actually, the first reality show that was really out there was the Anna Nicole Smith show.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
they asked me to do that repeatedly, and I kept saying no, 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 no. So they gave it to Anna Nicole Smith because I didn't want that in my life at that time, and I wasn't ready for that basically. But later on in life, I really started this whole reality thing when my brother passed because. I was so sad, and I felt, and my mother did as well, that I wish that the world had known Michael the way we knew him.
Yeah.
And I wish he could have shown the world who he really was.
Yeah.
And they didn't know that as opposed to some of the things that they would say about him. So my mother said, honey, get out there, do the show. Let the world see you for who you are. And she said, let them see that we're just like everybody else and all these misconceptions about us. So that's what you're getting.
So we're gonna get the truth.
Of course, what you see is me. That's what I do
What you
on
see is you.
my daily basis, and that's me. Now you can judge me for what you see, of course.
Now,
My family.
would the other family members be in and out of the show at all, like your mom or?
Yeah, my mother is she's part of the show. My father is they come and it's what I do on those days.
Yeah.
And we go out to dinner and lunch and have fun with my parents on the show as well. Yeah.
Good, because I like your dad. I met your dad a few
I
times.
know.
Yeah,
He's straightforward, isn't he?
Oh my gosh! Hey, Sway, how you doing? I got a new record company coming out right now. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open up the phone lines, and we got a lot of questions we want to talk to you about. It's just great having you on the show. LaToya Jackson is here. 888-742-3345. Let's take them back. It's LaToya Jackson has joined us on this show. She has a new show that's coming out on the OWN network with Oprah Winfrey. What did Oprah say to you about this show? Like, did she give you advice on, what not to do?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
Just Oprah said, be yourself and do your thing.
Okay.
And that's what I did. And she likes the show, which is really important. And I'm going to see her on Tuesday.
Can you tell her that we said hi? Sway said hi?
I'll tell her Sway said hello.
Yeah, she'll be like, who? Who?
Sway.
Just tell
I'm
her.
sure she knows you, Sway.
I hope so, LaToya. We'll see. Go ahead, Heather.
Speaking of advice, like to me, you've always been, I know there's a lot of misconceptions about you. You said people have a chance to see the real you, but to me, you've always seemed very truthful and open and honest. And I look at the Kardashian family. In no way am I trying to compare the Jacksons to the Kardashians, but they're in the spotlight a lot. How would you, like, as far as advice, how would you advise them with dealing with people in their business and the reality shows? Because their whole life is now an open book, much like what you spoke about earlier. Do you have any advice for people that want to get into these reality shows and with their families in particular?
Well, certainly it's not an easy business to get into. It really isn't. And when I say easy, it's that you never know what's coming with it, with the social media, and people say very hurtful and harmful things. So you have to be strong enough to handle that. But I think the Kardashians are strong enough to handle that. There's a very close connection with the Kardashians and the Jackson family, so we know them.
Okay.
Because the reason I say that is because, well, family gatherings, family dinners, some of them would be there because my nephew Terrell used to date Kourtney. So Kourtney was always at the family gatherings when we would have our family gatherings. And then my Khloe was Jackie's assistant, his secretary.
Wow.
For years.
Really?
Yeah, Khloe was, yes. And then my nephew TJ
I know TJ.
dated Kim for years.
Wow.
Yeah.
LaToya, you be having a scoop.
Toya's breaking it down.
LaToya got the scoop.
Yeah,
okay.
so I didn't know if you guys knew that or not, but
No.
yeah, so when you mention them. And now what's so weird is that Khloe lives right across the street from my mother.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
great.
So
That's
it's still, that connection is still there. It's very strong. And when I went to my nephew Taj's wedding, the mother was there, of course.
great.
Kris Jenner was
nice.
there because we all know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
from
have so much in
different-
common.
Yeah, so much. Well, yeah, I
All
was
the
just wondering
time.
for advice, but you're right, Sway. They do have
So
a
all
lot in common.
Tito's kids dated the girls.
In short,
But before they were
the girls, before
became
they
the
were
girls.
the big Kardashians,
Well,
like you
Tito's
said.
kids they have great taste. How about that? And so do the girls. That's interesting because now you have so many similarities in on how
Yes.
popular the families are, how scrutinized
Yes.
Yeah.
the families are as well.
Yes.
You know.
Now, LaToya, I know when you were saying having a conversation with Oprah, she told you that it was completely limitless. But in this age where there's so many reality TV shows, folks want to be executive producers, they want to have creative control. How much do you have?
Jeffrey and I are both executive producers of the show. So what LaToya does and what she wants to do is what goes on the show.
Nice.
And that's my life. That's what I do. And that's what you're seeing.
Is there any restrictions that you told Oprah, like no scenes in the bedroom after a certain hour?
Well, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, you showing?
So, sorry?
Oh, you wouldn't do scenes in the bedroom. I thought you meant you wouldn't tell Oprah no
But,
scenes in the bedroom.
there are scenes. Well, it depends on how graphic you get. But the fact of the matter is that there were restrictions. One, of course, I didn't want Michael's kids in the show.
Yeah.
And you see them like a blink like that on the first season when because we were all together, and it, like I said, the cameras follow me. But I try to tell them don't shoot them. Because I'm doing things for them and with them all the time.
Yeah.
So most of the time I say, well, we can't shoot today. Or if I have to, it's like, don't shoot them, please.
Yeah.
Because Prince is so involved in the business. He just loves it. He wants to be a director and he wants to do so much. But I don't want people to think, okay, you have him in your show, because I don't want him there.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't want them to be
Let 'em
people to
grow
feel
up.
like, let them grow up and people think that you guys are trying to exploit the kids when
Exactly.
it's the total opposite
Yeah, and
of
people will think that immediately.
that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to do that. You're LaToya Jackson, so you have your own story. Now, let me ask you this, because I was hook, line, and sinker when you were doing the psychic,
yes.
hotline. Were you really a psychic or?
Absolutely not. That was old management.
Okay. Oh,
And-
wow.
That was
Man, we're going to have you read us, LaToya.
No, that
The
was
truth.
old management, and I know nothing about it at all. And he says, he was one of those guys, whatever he said goes. You do this, you better do it, and you're going to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what I had to do.
Wow.
Yeah, meaning, that guy.
How can someone like you with all your experience have a manager like that? Like you're LaToya Jackson. How can your manager just like tell you you're going to be a psychic? How does that work?
See, I like when you said, how can you? You're LaToya Jackson. That didn't matter to him. None of that mattered. It's a long story. He was the guy that I was married to.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he's the one who married me without my permission. I didn't even know, guys, I was getting married the day I got married. It sounds so weird, but you got to read the book starting over. All of this is in the book. But no, I was at Caesar's Palace performing. Actually, I was performing with Smokey that time.
Smokey Robinson.
Yeah, and this was years ago, and he took me from the stage, and he says, choose a security. I said, why? He goes, pick one. And I go, why? He says, pick one. I said, okay, you. Get in the car. Got in the limousine. The limousine drove up this close. Got out the car, went inside, red velvet ropes all the way. There's a lady standing at the end. And I said, hi. And she goes, what's your mother's maiden name? And I said, why did she want to? He goes, what's your mother's maiden name? And I told her. And she said, okay, sign this. And he goes, sign it. Sign. She goes, go through that door right there. There was a justice of the peace to marry us. Yeah.
Wow.
And I ran out 4 to 5 times. I kept saying, I can't do this. I don't like you. You're just my manager. And I started crying and everything. Security pushed me back in and says, listen, there's certain things you have to do in life whether you want to or not. Now get in there. And she said, you know what? I pronounce you man and wife. She didn't even go through the ceremony, the thing. She said, I pronounce you man and wife.
And that was it.
And that's what she did. My mother said he did it to me because I couldn't testify against him because he had this long record. And that's what he did, so I wouldn't be able to testify against him. But the fact of the matter is, he says, don't worry about it. You can get an annulment in 3 weeks. Well, that came. I happened to be in Italy, and I said, it's been 3 weeks. Can I get an annulment? And the first thing he did was said, are you insane? He grabbed me by the head and kept beating my head on the corner of the desk.
He abused you. Yeah.
Oh, it's so much abuse. You have no idea. It made me say things against my will, all kinds of things. But yeah, that's what he did. And he left. I woke up. My eyes were just swollen and the whole bed. And a girl was working for us at the time. And I remember going to the phone in the hotel trying to call the police. It was Italian. So I would say, please, please, please help me, help me, help me. He's hurting me the whole bed. And I kept running through the phone. And they didn't understand it was just the Italian that they were speaking. And the fact is, I woke up and the knock came on the door. And I went to the door and she says, I need to pack your clothes. We're leaving. And I said, okay. She goes, can I get you anything? And I said, yeah, can you just get some ice and just leave the bucket right there? And she says, okay. And I said, fine. And I said, but when you do it, knock on the door to make sure, and I know that you left that bucket of ice there. Yeah. Well, she did it. She knocked on the door, and I waited a couple of seconds to make sure that she was gone. I opened the door, stuck my hand out, couldn't reach it enough to get the ice, and she looked at me. She saw me. And the first thing came out of my mouth, I don't know why I said this, you guys, but I said, I slipped in the shower and fell because my eyes were swollen. And she said, like that. She came in, she packed my clothes. I went home, meaning to London. I was living there. And she asked me to go to get something to eat. And when I went to get something to eat, there were paparazzis everywhere because I lived like 2 doors down from the Hilton Hotel next to the Dorchester. And they were having an award show. And the paparazzis got pictures, and I had my head down. My glasses fell off. I picked them up, put them on, and you got the swollen eye and the whole bit. And he lied. He says, you cannot say that I did this to you or I'm going to kill you. He said, you tell them that this was surgery, and I will tell them. I said, I can't. He made up a lie and everything. Paparazzis were smart enough to know when she picked up her glasses, you saw the bruises on my wrists and the whole bed. And so it was one of those stories, but the beatings were constant. Any little thing, if I didn't do what he said, was the beatings. So that was a reason why, I don't know how much you guys know or whatever, but after that, after I got away from him, I never dated. I never wanted to date. I never wanted to see a man. I was totally against it. And in the show, I go through therapy because my friends encouraged me. He's been encouraging me to date forever. He goes, Toya, you need to date. You really do. And I didn't want anything to do with men. Not at all. And I was always polite and nice to them all these years, over about 20 years or so. But I wouldn't date at all.
So have you spoken out on domestic violence at all?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
It's very important. It's a sore spot, and it brings back memories. And when I talk about it, I shake sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try to think, and I know that I'm over it, but still, it brings back those memories of the beatings. And you guys, when you would see me on TV shows, I was getting beaten just before going on those shows.
Wow.
And he would accuse me of sitting this way because I'm trying to show my parents on TV that I'm beaten. I go, no, I said I was hurting so much and I had to shift my weight, because he got to the point where he started beating me beneath my clothes.
Now,
because you could see in the face that, something's wrong.
You have a lot of brothers. You
do.
never thought to call your brothers for protection?
I wasn't allowed to use the phone. I wasn't allowed to do anything. As a matter of fact, when we lived in France, I was always locked in the house. You have the key where you can lock the person inside. That's what he would do. But guys, it got to the point where I lost my self-worth.
Yeah.
I lost everything because he had instilled such fear in me. And he promised me if I didn't do what he said, he promised me he would kill my brother. And that's what he was holding against me constantly. You better say this, you better do this, or he's dead. And I knew that it was true. He would do it. And the reason I knew that is because in New York, when I lived there, we didn't live on Mulberry Street, but when I say live here, we were always on Mulberry Street. He was friends with all those guys. I knew John Gotti. I knew them all.
Yeah.
I knew every last one of those Mafia guys. And I knew that he would do that because I had seen things. But the fact of the matter is when I did finally leave him, I had never seen so many FBI agents. They flew out to Las Vegas to meet with me. They said it's very important. It was about five of them at one time. They flew me to New York. I had meetings with them when I was here in New York, another set of agents, FBI agents. So whatever was going on, I didn't know, but they drilled me for hours. And they said, we know you're innocent. We've been bugging everything. We've been doing this the entire time you've with this man. We know what really goes on with the families. We know that you're not involved in the Mafia. Yeah. He was strongly involved in all of that. And I feel like I can speak about it now. I don't know why, but I am. And they never said not to tell. But the fact is that...
That's a good point. They didn't say it. So.
I'm thinking it now as I speak to you. They never said not to tell. But the fact is when I think about it, I was in such danger. And they would tell me things they would say. I go, no, I don't know who... Because I was always told with them, you don't know anything about anything. Because they would call me the kid. They would say, well, the kid talk. I would be in the room like, you guys are the Mafia. And I'm sitting here with all these guys like I'm the only girl like this. And they go with the kid talk. And he said, nope, the kid won't talk. I was the kid because they were older. And this went on and on and on. And so when the FBI agents, when they all met with me, they would say, where were you on this date? I don't know. Do you know John Gotti? No. Do you know this guy? No. And I did this for 3 days, guys. Yeah. The fourth day, they came to me with a stack of pictures, and they go, here you are with John Gotti right here. Here you are with the Gambino, the Lucchese family, the head of all these different people. You said you didn't know them. I said, well, they told me that I didn't know anything about anything, and which I really didn't, but they would make me go to that little clubhouse, just go over there with them. They would have somebody walk me there where they did serious talk. But anyway, to make a long story short, they told me you're innocent. We know that. We know you've done nothing. But they said, did you know that when you were in certain countries that they would mention, Turkey, I think it was once, and Switzerland, did you know that they were smuggling drugs through you and diamonds? I said, you're kidding. I didn't know any of that. Yeah. Because this is before 7-Eleven, 9/11.
9/11, yeah. 7-Eleven been around for a while, LaToya.
This is before 9/11. So when I used to get on the plane, they used to just walk me right on through the back of the plane, the tarmac. Right. The car would drive me there, and I'd go up the stairs and get on the plane. So I guess he was clever enough to tell all these guys they never search her. So then that's what, because I always wonder when I would go to countries, why was it that 6 Mafia guys would come back with me to New York? Yeah. It's like, well, why did they come on the last day? They would do that and come back. But that's what they were doing, and I had no clue. And see how dangerous that was? They put an innocent person in danger. You never know it.
You know, I always believe, and you're here today, and, you know, you picked up your life. Yeah. You know, people care about you. And so I would see you in those situations years ago and wonder what is going on with her. That's people thought you were doing drugs. People thought, you know, has she lost it? Right. But now that I know you were under that distress. Well, and then you're here today to celebrate being with Oprah Winfrey, this new show. It's 10 p.m. on Saturday nights on the OWN network. Yes. What was the learnable moment? Moment of all that experience?
Of all of that went on. First of all, I should say to you that when I left home, I was going to Japan. My mother couldn't take me, so she said, okay, honey, your dad, Joseph, couldn't take me. So Joseph asked this man to go. The minute that I got to Japan, he took my passport and says, you're never going back home again. I was extremely religious. I was a Jehovah's Witness. Yeah. I was naive. I didn't know anything about the world because my association was with my family and Jehovah's Witnesses. And he took advantage of that. I thought when you say something out of your mouth, you're telling me the truth. And he did nothing but lie. He was the biggest con artist ever. But the memorable moment is what you're saying right now is that I am so blessed and so happy to be here today. And I say to myself, God did this to me for a reason. My mother was so happy when I finally freed myself from him. She says, I have my daughter back. And she would always say, that's not my daughter. Something's wrong. That's not my daughter. But what I say to her, and she said to me, honey, you should hate him and dislike him. That was wrong what he did to you. I said, Mother, I can't. And I said, I know it was wrong. I said, because if I harbor hatred in my heart, I'm only hurting myself. She said, I never want to see him again, but I want to tell you something. I think God sent this worst person to be with me to teach me a lesson because I was so naive. He wanted me to know that if this happens to you again, it's your fault. So I'm going to give you the worst person. So I think I had to go through what I went through in order for me to be right here with you guys today.
There it is. LaToya Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to Sway in the morning on Shea 45.